Trigger warning, child abuse, drug abuse. When I was a young child, my parents were majorly addicted to meth in a small, backwoods town out in North Carolina. My sister and I grew up in the back of an old white Toyota. Red vinyl seats scattered with cigarette burn holes, etc. It was less than ideal, but it was my normal, and I didn't know any other life. My parents would often have my baby sister and I lay on the floorboards under a blanket while they did their dealings in shady areas and find a rest stop to hotbox their drugs. All while we tried to find any semblance of sleep. I vividly remember belt buckles in my side keeping me up at night before being dropped off at school without any food or basic hygiene needs being met. I hated being the smelly kid. It's something you honestly never forget. Well, fast forward to the 3rd grade. We had a single wide trailer to call home. I was so happy to have a room and a place to sleep, even if running water was still rare and electricity was even less available. But I'll tell you what, I enjoyed my cold showers, making sure to scrub thoroughly. Sadly, though, my parents still had problems and were often not around, leaving me to take care of my sister most of the time. After 5 days of no parents, and me not having attended school since no one could watch my sister, we had no food in the house, and I had to figure something out. So I went over to my neighbor's trailer as a last resort. I had seen her, a tall, blonde woman in her mid-20s, constantly caring for her garden and waving occasionally when I would play outside. She wore long-sleeve shirts and long skirts and her hair always in a bun. She gladly fed us what she could when she could and taught us about God. She explained how she would frequent the Pentecostal and Apostolic sermons 4 times a week at different churches in the area, explaining God and love and all the awesome and cool things religion had to offer even the most scraggly children in the world. I was sold. After a year or so, my sister and I went with her to nearly every sermon, and I became very invested in the religion, my sister more so in the cookies and refreshments. That was when she started having me bathe with her. To spare everyone the gross and gory details that would ensue for yet another year before my sister and I went into foster care, she turned out to be the devil incarnate. She used God to scare me into doing things no child should do, and when I finally mustered the courage to break up with my childhood rapist, she broke down crying, saying that God would punish both of us for what we had done. She told me God would never let me be a singer. She quite literally took my voice. After years of shame, binge drinking and therapy, I am in a much better place. I have grown past the trauma and can finally tell my own story without guilt or resentment. I'm working towards my degree in psychiatry and want to become a child psychologist one day, so no child can ever feel as though they don't have a voice again. I also have a pop album soon to be released. Fuck her. I am a strong, happy person in a healthy and loving relationship. I no longer wake up from night terrors feeling strangled by her blonde hair and yellow teeth. People can heal, and if you need anything, I know therapy is out of a lot of people's reach, there are programs. You guys got this, and I'm rooting for you. Now another story. New Year's Eve 2016. My girlfriend, brother and I were hanging out, getting ready to host a party. We went out and got food and alcohol. While we were waiting for people to arrive, I decided to lounge for a bit on these hammocks that were in the courtyard of my apartment building. Both of them followed me out. There were 2 oversized hammocks, so I expected my GF to get in mine with me. Nope, she got into my brother's hammock with him. Obviously that annoyed me a bit, especially considering that she didn't know him very well. I was not cool with that. Anyway, I brushed it off and decided that I'd talk to her about it after the party. Our friends showed up, we drank and hung out. Fast forward to the end of the party, and it was getting late, so our friends started going home. It was just me, my brother, and my GF still in my apartment. All of a sudden, I started to feel really tired and loopy, which was weird because I only had a couple drinks. I tell my girlfriend that I'm going to lay down because I didn't feel too good. I remember my GF telling me that she was going to have another drink and then come to bed. I stumbled to my room and fell asleep for a while, not too certain for how long, but definitely under an hour. I woke up extremely groggy, room spinning. I was curious where my GF was, so I go out into the living room and she's on my brother's lap making out with him. I told them both to get out of my apartment and I passed out in my bedroom. It wasn't until later that I connected the dots. The first time I brought my GF home to my place, I passed out in a similar way, after only a couple drinks. I used to joke around with her about how she roofied me on our first date. She of course didn't find funny. After that incident I'm fairly certain that she drugged me and tried to sleep with my brother. Anyway, I broke up with her when I woke up the next morning and I haven't talked to my brother in years. Me and my brother grew up together. We were only 1 year apart, completely inseparable up until that point. Still haunts me a little to this day.